Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. Well, Jeffrey Epstein cases. We have updates. There have been James Comer, who's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Republican, has issued subpoenas to obtain, and there's the the hangman card, to obtain more information on files that the Justice Department has related to Jeffrey Epstein. Comer also is subpoenaing several people in regards to this. He wrote letters to each person that the committee must conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws, generally and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell. Among those people subpoenaed include former Attorney Generals Merrick Garland, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, and Alberto Gonzales, Jeff Sessions and William Barr, former FBI Directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton. Did he also subpoena the Obamas? I can't remember if that was in there or not. Let me go through this article real quick. No, that's it. No Obamas, just the Clintons, of course. So a veritable who's who of boogeymen. Now, okay, they're going to interview attorney generals that were the attorney generals when the investigation started into Epstein, and they're going after the Clintons because Bill Clinton had a friendship with Epstein and met with him a few times and rode on his plane several times. I could think of another guy who held the office of president who was friends with Epstein and went on plane rides with him and stuff like that too. I wonder if we're also going to get him subpoenaed. Fair's fair, you know. So what's the energy around this? Is Comer actually interested in pursuing this, or is this more of a political stunt? So let's look at the energy around these latest subpoenas and requests for documents. Okay, come on down. We'll see what we got going on. Again, entertainment purposes only. Let's take a look. Knight of Pentacles. Well, it looks like it's just, let's get the information gathered. Because there's a firestorm out there. And maybe if we ask for these documents amongst this chaos, things will calm down. You know what, to be honest, as much as I was, being snarky saying it's political, man, some of it maybe. I think Comer's kind of forced to do this. We have to get more information. We can't, the MAGA base is just, they're going crazy over this. This issue won't die. We need to do something. It's almost like we have to do our job. There's almost a reluctance that it took a wild mob running around with pitchforks and torches, running around these guys' houses to force them to do their job. They don't want a job that they don't want to do. That gives me some hope. In the past, the Moon card. They've kept Epstein nebulous. The Epstein case has always been nebulous. And because it's nebulous and you don't know details, you can tell people all the details you want them to believe. The Hollywood elites are going to be on here. The ultra wealthy Democrats and such, they're all going to be on here. And because you don't know what's on here, we can tell you what's on here, and you're getting all excited and salivating and ready to go. Yeah, bring it. And now it's time to bring it. And if you don't bring it, people are going to be really upset. You've got them primed and hungry. Current situation is the Ace of Wands. You have to take action. Especially if you want to calm folks down, you're going to have to finally take some action. Overarching energy is the Fool card. This, I'm not going to say it's a new journey, but it's like, okay, here we go. I would say don't try, my word of warning to Mr. Comer would be don't try to politicize this. The vibe I get from this is, if they try to politicize this isn't going to work out the way they think it's going to work out. That's the vibe I'm getting. This will not. If you try to politicize this and just make it about Democrats and there's no Republicans on there, you're in big trouble. It's like this thing is going to have a life of its own, and you're not going to have control over what happens. The lesson to be learned is the emperor. In some ways, they're doing all this to protect Trump, and there's a lot going on to protect Trump. Like, allegedly, his name has been redacted on all the pages it showed up in, and then it was made classified information so that people can't see it. Scrubbing him, all to protect this guy who won't be around much longer. And then when it's finally unredacted, you find out who you've been protecting. That's where this thing really can go sideways on you. The vibe I'm getting. The outcome is the Ace of Pentacles. The vibe I'm getting is maybe they think they've got an opportunity to cash in, but it's not going to work that way. It will backfire spectacularly if they try that. Outcome is Ace of Pentacles. I think they're going to get the information that they asked for, and it's going to have a major impact on the folks that that are interested in this case. There's a lot of there. And again, if a lot of things redacted, and if they say there's no client list, and then miraculously a client list shows up, I mean, think about the position James Comer's in at that point. You know what I mean? That's that with the when you've got the fool card over the top. He's doing, if he's doing this for a political reason, for political assassination of and I mean actual assassination, I mean just reputational assassination of these folks. And the Department of Justice is saying, oh, there's no client list and there's no this, that, and the other thing. And then that information gets leaked out that, oh yeah, here's a digital copy that I made of that list that you say doesn't exist. The egg on the face, which could be that Ace of Coins, is the egg on the face is unmistakable. How can you tell? Think about it. And if you've been telling MAGA about this whole thing, and then you lie to them and say, oh, well, there's no client list, and then they find out there was, and that, the White House was lying, and that Pam Bondi was lying, and Kash Patel was lying about this. That's where the betrayal comes in. And that's where you have really angry people that are well armed and don't mind, mixing it up a bit or burning down the Capitol, as the case may be. And now you got them pissed off at you for lying and misleading them and conning them. It won't be kind. It won't be pretty. The Emperor comes out again. What's Comer's current mindset with his subpoenas of attorney generals and former political figures, as well as requests for documents from the Justice Department? What's his mindset on all this? Four of Coins. Kind of, there's a limitation. Maybe trying to limit the damage, trying to, let's see, crossed with the Wheel of Fortune and the Death card. I think if he's being a partisan hack, which James Comer would be that, let's be realistic here. He's trying to do the minimal amount necessary to put an end to the brouhaha. The problem is, the more information that comes out, the hungrier the masses are going to be for more follow-up with that information. This thing is spiraling out of control. In the past, you got the Hierophant. Before, you could control things in the government and things are coming out. Current situation is the Five of Swords. The lack of reach across the aisle and doing things in a cooperative manner. Hyper-partisanship has put people in place. But that also means that James Comer isn't necessarily the most effective at his job. He just happens to be a hyper-partisan, which means that he may suck at his job. And right now, you may need the hyper-clever person to manage the situation, not the hyper-MAGA dude. Overarching energy is the magician card. Maybe he thinks he can spin this, hide things that need to be hidden because of that. The lesson we learn is the Five of Wands. Again, I think to try and calm the crowd down. But the challenge is that information keeps coming out. And if you say there's nothing there, everything's fine, and tell that to these people, and then they find out there's stuff there, that's not good. You're going to lose, and more stuff will come out, and they're going to get even angrier. Outcome is the Two of Coins. So I think the goal is to try and minimize this stuff. Try and hey, we grabbed all the people, we looked, you guys can calm down now. There really wasn't as much there as you thought there was going to be. But I don't think, and let's try and bring this investigation to a close. The challenge, though, is the karma card, the Wheel of Fortune. That'll be all, if that's his intention, that'll be fine and good if you can control the Wheel of Fortune, but you can't. And again, there's no indication that the Epstein case isn't anything but Frankenstein's monster rampaging the countryside. And subpoenaing Dr. Frankenstein's records, or is it Frankenstein? His records and showing, look, this couldn't possibly have happened. It's a huge exaggeration. There's no monster rampaging across the countryside. There's no there. And then there's eyewitness accounts of the monster, or the monster then shows up and everybody sees it. Oh, they will dismiss you. Pointing it out right to your face. Look what we're seeing. You're seeing the same thing we're seeing. This thing could end really, really badly. Let's look at the energy around Bill Clinton as he's being subpoenaed with this. Does this have him nervous at all? We got the Ace of Swords just popped up over here. Clinton, for his part, has said yes, he actually has met with Epstein. He's ridden on his plane. Said he had his Secret Service details, so nothing happened. This article on the BBC said there are indications that he did travel on the plane without his Secret Service details. So is Bill Clinton talking out both sides of his mouth, or does he really have nothing to worry about? Foundation of the reading, Four of Wands. New beginning, being welcomed in or kicked out, crossed with the Empress. He's got his story that he's told, and it's going to be challenged by the women who are being trafficked. Knight of Wands, going forward with the plan. If he's got a plan and reasonable doubt, he's probably not too worried about going forward and facing this. Let's see. Ace of Cups in the past. Strong emotions, maybe some nervousness about that. Knight of Pentacles, patience, going forward with information. Ace of Wands. What's in your hand there, my friend? To go with your Ace of Cups. Big push on an idea. Page of Pentacles. And Queen of Pentacles. Okay. He could be welcoming in to do this testimony. Saying he has a lot of concern for the boys and girls that were hurt and the young men and women that were trafficked by Epstein. He'll go forward, do his duty. will be vehement about how much he fights against this thing, and he's a supporter of the victims, and wants to support the women and children that were hurt by this whole Epstein situation here. It could be that this also could be that they want him to show up, and he offers to do a video deposition or answer questions, but not appear in front of the committee. And they may find that acceptable. That's another way to look at this. If he was guilty of things, there could be evidence that's hard for him to explain away that would link him over here. But right now, there's a lot of fire energy and a lot of earth energy here. These are not horrible cards. I'm always steeling myself, and I ask you to steel yourself too to something like this. That there's always a possibility that Bill Clinton could be embroiled in all this. He had a relationship with Epstein. He was on the plane several times, and we know that things like that happened. Oh, that page of coins could also be. The thing that would really seal the deal, though, is if there are victims that will testify against him. Notice they still have not subpoenaed any of the girls, any of the children, any of the young men or women that were trafficked. They haven't subpoenaed any of them. They haven't asked any of them to testify. So you're going to have to do it based on data. What's one thing you want to share with us about this request for documents that Comer has given? Sun card. Well, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff. There's going to be some redactions, but we're going to see a lot of stuff. And I think, like Bill Clinton, you'll probably see people coming in to testify. Prosecutors will be there. You've got attorney generals there. Wouldn't be surprised if they do bring a committee or a special prosecutor to look into this further. There's going to be strong emotions associated with this, you think? Two of these cards Clinton had, too. And underneath follows the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, kind of the challenge with Comer is if you have this, you're going to lose control as people's passions get high, and there's going to be calls for further investigations on this. I'm convinced. Congressional committees, special prosecutors, that sort of thing, looking into this more and more. I think they're going to get the data. I think they're going to hold sessions for everybody to see, and we're going to see a lot of stuff. Not everything. We're going to see a lot more stuff, and there's going to be calls for even more investigations into this matter. This subpoena of records and subpoenaing of former AGs and the Clintons is not going to be enough to sate the appetite of those who have been promised raw meat on a plate in the form of these Epstein files. If anything, they're going to want more. They're going to be hungrier and hungrier for more. And you're not going to be able to control that. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.